Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Call Center Script. Many years ago, I worked for a contract company in Ohio, doing first-level support for when AT&T had cable internet service. Not a fancy job, but paid really well at the time. So, up on high, they decided they didn't like how we were doing our job and not following their script for every call. Normally, some of the steps didn't need to be done, like we didn't need to power cycle your cable modem to make a payment, etc. So then management, in their infinite wisdom, decided it would be good to give us a new script for connection troubleshooting. They told us to follow it exactly and not add, subtract or change any steps, otherwise we'd get in trouble. So we began following it. Example for the connection issue. First, unplug cable modem. Second, unplug network cables. Third, wait 30 seconds. Fourth, plug network cables back in. And fifth, check network settings. If no resolution to the connection, transfer to Tier 2 support level. Now, all of us on the evening shift, being nerds and tech geeks, noticed a glaring flaw with their steps. We attempted to point it out to them, but we were told not to question it and follow it exactly. So that is what we did. After 4 to 5 days of hundreds of customers being sent to Tier 2 support just to plug in their modems and get back online, we ended up getting a memo. They told us to go back to doing things the way we were before and just help the customer. It was hilarious for a few days and made our job fairly easy for troubleshooting. The next story is called Replaceable. I worked in a school district and have gone above and beyond for students and teachers in the past 2 years. I got into a big argument, defending my co-workers and myself from being overworked, as well as cattiness from certain teachers and the VP. The VP pulled me in and gaslit me, saying that everything is my fault for riling up all the other staff, and then said that we are all replaceable. Oh, I'm replaceable during an education shortage? After that, I decided to quit and be a substitute teacher in a few districts, including the one I left. Ever since I left, it has been a show for them, as 3 other people left after me. The couple of people they got to replace us aren't even showing up to work. The best part is, I get to show up almost every day to sub and make more money while being good at what I do and happy. The third story is called Stick to It. A few years ago, I was an engineer for one of the largest bread makers in the UK. We worked as a team of 4, including the team leader. Our plant had 3 production lines with a combined output of 220 loaves a minute. Our engineering manager had just been sacked, and we were given some other pointless manager who could only manage numbers, not people. We all disliked him, as he'd push good engineers out of the department, as well as stabbing operators in the back and getting them sacked. This was his first order. Engineers are not to be in the workshop, unless working on something or shift handover. Engineers are to be assigned a production line each with a spare looking after the 12 slicers and baggers. Engineers are to patrol the lines unless on break. No deviations are allowed. And this is where our malicious compliance came in. Due to the large-scale manufacturing, there was a lot of heavy equipment. Some jobs could occupy all 4 of us for manual labor. We were also differently skilled. Some mechanical, some electrical, and me is the sole multi-skilled and software tech on our shift. The way the bread is produced, if one part of the line goes down, then all the bread on the conveyors, proofer and mixer has about 5 to 10 minutes before it becomes scrap. We stuck to our orders and all agreed that if we saw another engineer having to deal with our job, that we'd all not help. We all agreed not to create unnecessary work for the operators. If a line had a mechanic but had an electrical issue, it would have to wait until the next break rotation, which could be 4 hours away. After one shift, the efficiency of the line dropped from an average of 75% to 30%, and the scrap rate went from 25% to 50%. The bakery lost a ton of money that shift. It carried on for the night shift. Then the assigned areas were abolished and never spoken about again the following morning. The last story is called Do What You Want. In 2000, I was hired by a company in the construction industry. In 2002, they asked me to help start a new division of the company. They are the owners and the general manager. The general manager made it known he had it out for me after my first year. Intermittent little digs, flippant attitude, demeaning, etc. Cut to after we get the new division up and running, and I request being able to start a rep presence. Ownership is all over the endeavor, while the general manager brushes me off and says, "It's your division, do what you want." My division functioned with a separate business name. As I'm purchasing the domain name, my thoughts turn to the mothership and how it has zero rep presence. I checked it out and lined up the actual two business names and several close permutations, so they would be somewhat secure, and knowing their business names couldn't be taken out from under them. I go to the general manager and ask for a check from the main company to pay for the domain names, and he, again, brushes me off. "It's your division." His favorite line, "Do what you want. You've got a credit card. Expense it like anything else." I did start to ask, "Are you sure you want me to put it on my personal?" and was curtly cut off. By 2004, my division was running at a 44% margin, which netted $750K a year. In the first 6 months of its existence, I'd already paid back the build-out, training, machines, equipment, all the startup and setup. That is how successful this division was. The general manager became jealous of my achievements and tried to seize control over operations, citing he was the general manager of the entire company. Prior, it was my division, and I should do what I want. Each drawn in by him, I'd deflect and defend my division. By 2005, I'd had enough and ended up quitting, as I heard he was preparing to fire me to fully seize the shiny penny as his own and take all the credit. I planned ahead, saved money, quit, and took 6 months off. It was a spring to fall extravaganza of doing whatever the heck I choose. About a year later, I can't remember exactly how long, a charge appeared on my credit card for my former company's domain names. Being for several, the amount stood out like a sore thumb. I called and verified the charge and what it was for, and in my conversation with a very nice person, they said, "Yes, all of these names are registered to you." About 3 years after I'd left the old company, my phone rang. And guess what number pops up on the screen? Oh yeah, I let it go to voicemail. The message was from the bookkeeper, asking if I could return their call. The next day, here they try again, but straight to voicemail they go. After a week of messages that were now pleading me to call them back, I returned the bookkeeper's call. Well, the cat came out of the bag, and the main company finally decided to build out a rep presence, and had shelled out a ton of money to do so. Lo and behold, when they went to get their beautiful .com up and functioning, the exact name was taken, as well as a string of similar ones they could have used. The bookkeeper asked me to release the names to them. I indicated that would be very easy to do. It's a simple matter of signing them off, no? They agreed, as the anxious web builder had prepped them for the chat with me. I said I'd be happy to turn the keys to the kingdom over to them, but I wanted a few things. Reimbursed for all expenses up until that point for owning the domain names, a finder's fee. That set them off, but what can I say? I was yelled at to put their domain names on my personal credit card. And the general manager himself would have to hand-deliver the check. That third line item was a sticking point, but dear Mr. Manager was forced to bend the knee. I mean, I certainly wasn't going to budge. The general manager shows up at the appointed place, hands me the check and barks at me about returning their domain names to them today. He did this so loudly that the people in the coffee shop we met at turned and stared. I laughed and said, "After the check clears." "Sure, yeah." He balked and insisted I immediately transfer the names to them, as I was holding up the entire show. As I left, I smiled and said, "You are to blame here. You yelled at me to put the domain names on my credit card." He was absolutely fuming at this point. Besides, I love taking your advice to do what I want. Remember? And I am. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.